Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 4127 Northeast Mallory here in Portland. I describe everything as if you're standing out in the street facing the front of the property, or basically facing into the property in general. We're about halfway up the left side of the house here. We have a 3-inch ABS cleanout. The larger cleanout right here appears to be the storm system tie-in. They do appear to be interconnected because when I smack on one cap, I can hear it echo through the other one. And the reason for that is the 3-inch ABS cleanout cap. The top of it got whacked off by either a lawnmower or a weed whacker or something like that. So I do recommend putting a new cap on it. Anyway, we're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. We're going to zero out here at the base of the cleanout access. And again, we're dropping into 3-inch ABS plastic. And the only other possibility I give this other tie-in, so we do have a connection coming into here. This is also where the line bells out to 4-inch. Would be if they ran some kind of separate line down from that upper floor to tie in that way, but kind of hard to say. Typically speaking, with this configuration, that stuff is not done on the exterior. It's done underneath the home. And quite a clean sewer line thus far here. Little tiny bit of grease built up on the flow line, but very minor. It's kind of gunking my lens up right now. There's a little bit of grease. We'll get that. That should come off the camera once we get out to the main and get it rinsed off. You have the wonderful advantage of having a lot of natural downhill slope here. About the only place a belly is even feasible is down at the base of the driveway and off into the street, where that becomes very insignificant. Should be seeing a transition here in just a moment. There it is. Oh, it's still got cast iron. Interesting. We may see yet again another transition here in a moment to concrete or clay pipe. Now we're into clay. We do obviously have root penetration here. Well, I'll do my locates here in just a second. We're going to pull back to the transition. This thing's got some gnarly roots in it. Luckily, they're way the heck out from the house at the bottom of a very steep drop. These roots were, prior to the steep drop, they would become a problem on probably a pretty regular basis. Where they are right now, not that I, wouldn't potentially deal with them if they're within responsibility, but much less likely to cause a problem when you have that much gravity working in your favor. There's the main there. I'm going to pull back just slightly from it where it's straightened out just to get a better locate. I'm going to locate here real quick, and then I'll pull back to the transition to see if we have any of that clay pipe still on property, and or cast iron for that matter. I would have not guessed, though, this was going to be a 104-foot sewer line. Long line. Alrighty. Located the camera head successfully out on Northeast Mallory. And I apologize, I can't remember if it's street or avenue. I'll call it street. Sounds more fitting anyway. I'm almost wondering if I forgot to zero my foot counter out. It just does not feel like a 104-foot sewer line, but anyway, certainly got a lot of roots in it. I think whatever trees did cause this have been cut down. Unfortunately, once roots have intruded a sewer line, cutting the tree down only slows the growth down. They will essentially never die. So I would always, and we'll see here if it's blocking our view of anything. The only time roots like this make me nervous, most if not all this clay pipe is going to fall into city territory. Every now and then you'll get a weird sewer line. I have cambered thousands of party lines over the years in Portland. And from time to time you will get a party line that ties in a very near the street, if not sometimes in the road. They're fairly uncommon, but I have seen them before. Sometimes roots can block your view of them, but you know, assuming we're going to go find out right now, if all this clay pipe falls into city territory and you did have a tie-in, it at least falls out into city responsibility. So I've got to push past that cast iron just a little bit to get a proper locate. Alrighty, so where I'm picking this locate up right now, as you can see, my camera is into the clay a little bit. The reason I do that, when you park a camera right on the dividing line between cast iron and another pipe material, it can often throw off a kind of a weird locate signal. I'm going to do my darndest here to get my antenna centered right on that transition. But the only reason I say this is I'm picking that locate up in the road where I was at the first time there, just into the clay, but not super far into the road. I mean, we're talking maybe a foot off the curb, something like that. So it's getting a little close for comfort. I'm hoping from the looks of it, and I trust these locators. I've been doing this a long time. They are very accurate. When you start talking centimeters and mere, you know, inches, a couple inches or so, that's where I start to get a little bit nervous. So we'll see how this locate comes in here. Okay, so right here where my camera is currently situated, I'm picking this locate up smack dab on the face of the curb. So that's about as close as I can get. I'm trying, the antenna on the camera head sits just, I want to say it's about 4 inches behind the camera head itself approximately. I tried to dead center that as best I could. The line is extremely shallow right there. I mean, you're only like 3 feet deep at the curb. Alrighty. So I just did that locate there. I'm just trying to get as best to locate as I can. From what I can tell here, that transition does appear to be on the face of the curb. It's so darn close, it's one that makes me a little bit nervous. But every time I do the locate before and after it, you know, I'm getting it clearly on either side where I want it to be, and right on the dividing line, I'm picking it up on the face of the curb. So right now we're getting down to the point where we're talking just inches. And the cast iron here is going to fall into homeowner responsibility. It's intact. It functions. Transition joint from ABS to cast iron looks good there. Little stringy things up ahead on that joint right there, just cobwebs, that's all that is. And whoever's been living here has done a really good job at keeping the line clean. There's almost no grease buildup to speak of. Originally I thought it was grease gunking the lens up. I didn't realize that the sink was running hot. That's what was actually steaming up the camera lens or gunking it up. I was just locating there. Line's running down the driveway. I'm not locating every inch of the sewer line here, so my diagram will be a little slightly rough. Just be aware of that. I don't usually locate to that extent unless there's problems. justify locating it. But it meanders around just a little bit as it makes its way down the driveway. And you'll see a little red dot out from the driveway there, just right where the line crosses the street curb. I'm going backwards right now. We are now back inside the house. You've got some buildup in the line. This could very well be just from the line sitting vacant, people not using it. But everything going back in there looks intact. It's just that once water flow starts going through it on a regular basis, that'll help clear that stuff out. So everything on property here is either in good condition or in good shape for its age, i.e. the cast iron. That stuff's not at a point where it needs updating yet. Obviously, you've got the clay pipe. Again, that's one of those ones, it's so darn close to the dividing line. It's one that I almost recommend you have another person locate just to see if they get the same thing I am. Every now and then you'll get a scenario where the transition is just a couple inches behind the face of the curb, and from a hyper-technical standpoint, a part of it falls into homeowners. From what I can tell here, though, it looks like they took that update right smack dab to the face of the curb. Anyway, good flow all the way to the street. Everything on property here is functioning properly at this time. Obviously, you've got some issues out in the road there. That's one you may want to make the city aware of, as there's some severe root intrusions going on out in the street.